Well, Thunderstache Gaming is here. There are Switch 2 leaks galore. Like the plumbers are working overtime right now, and they got a lot of leaks they need to clean up as we get ready to get into the next episode of the Nintendo Powercast. Thunderstache Gaming, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I've been so busy, as we all are this time of year. We've talked about it before. We've talked about it on previous shows of yours, talked about it on the Nintendo Byte podcast. It is a crazy busy time of year, and there's so much to do, so much family stuff, video games, just a lot going on. But I'll tell you what, I've been putting in a lot of time. Metaphor, Refantasio. I put in, I think 14, 15 hours on Monday, which is gross, I know. And then yesterday, yeah, I know. And then yesterday I put in, I think a solid like 12 or 13 hours. I'm over 60 hours in now. But it's been a joyous experience. All I got to say is that if you haven't played it, if you don't have, say, a PlayStation, I really think this will come to Switch 2.
Okay.
So that is something.
Is it on Xbox?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, it is. It is on Xbox. So I expect it to come to Switch 2. And that's something everyone should be able to look forward to. That's a Nintendo fan that only owns Nintendo consoles. That is a game that if it does come out on Switch 2, you are going to want to pick up. But I'll hold off the rest for when I finally review that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I've been I have not put 14 hours into any game. Not in probably not even in a week, but maybe Mario Kart. Because we do so many streams. Maybe Mario Kart with streams. But no, I fired up. Do you ever hit the holiday season and you're like, I just feel like playing X or whatever game it might, and it's like maybe it's a genre of game or something. I don't know what bug bit me, but I had to start playing Xenoblade again, and so I didn't realize I was like level 31 and relatively far in the story, to the point that like I started playing, learned the combat again, because this is the first game, right? The definitive edition. And so
I remember
learning the combat again. I'm just like, that took a little bit, not too bad. I don't think it was too bad. But then I'm like, who are these characters at this point? So I went back in. Thankfully the Switch has like, first I went to YouTube, and then I was like, wait, I wonder if this is in, so I would know exactly where to stop, because I didn't want to get into spoiler territory. And sure enough, you can go and watch every cutscene right on the, so I was like, oh, I forgot about like character that, the female character and what happened to her and all this. And it was like, oh, it's all coming back to me now. So it was really nice to be able to catch up that way.
So I have it on Switch, the definitive edition. I still need to play it again, because the last time I played it was on Wii. And I remember the controls. I remember there being what felt like at the time steep learning curve. I don't think the Wii probably made it easier.
Yeah.
What was the main character? Was it Shulk? Was that his name?
Shulk, yes. Yeah.
Shulk, yeah. That's really nice, so that you can go back and watch the cutscenes. That's one thing I've always said that's tough, especially as you get older, too, when you have so many things going on in life, is that when you finally return back to the game, like you may have had intentions to, pick it up again the next day, but then the next day turns into next week and then next month. And so you pick it up a month later and you're like, whoa, what was going on again? So not only do you got to remember the controls again, but you got to remember, where did I leave off? What was I going to do next so I don't forget anything? And also so I can make the most of my time today now that I have time to play it. So that's one that is nice. You can go back and watch it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like, and I'm actually surprised with myself right now because like I typically play Mario Kart and that's kind of it, like I played Echoes of Wisdom, but I've been playing Brothership. Nintendo, I sent them some coverage that I had done. They sent me a copy of like they didn't even ask or anything. Like if I wanted, they were just like, here's a copy of Dragon Warrior 3 HD 2D remake. I was like, okay, well,
Oh, that's awesome.
that's amazing. Like, so downloaded that, haven't even fired it up yet. And it's it I'm just diving into the backlog as much as everybody like wants new games. And even hearing you talk about stuff, like I have a whole Xbox here with Game Pass, and I like the small amount of time that I spend gaming, I'm just having a great time picking up my backlog. I even started training Smash a little bit more again, like going into the lab with Mario and trying to like I'm at a plateau right now, and I know if I don't spend a bunch of time like learning combos and being able to dish out way more damage when I can punish somebody, I'm not going to be able to take that character to the next level. And so that's another thing. I'm just, it's really funny if I get tired, like if I'm working and if I jump in to Smash, my adrenaline gets pumping so quick and I'm like, yo, I'm wide awake again and I can get back to work. So I just take like tiny Smash breaks and I'm good to go. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. But we have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
A lot to talk about. There are Switch 2 leaks galore. I'm ready to stop talking about Switch 2 leaks and just cover Switch 2, like the actual
same
system in games, like it's getting crazy. I'll throw some of the different links up on screen now because there's, like I said, there's a whole lot of them. So here we go. We got quite a bit to look at today. And so I don't even know where to start. Like we've had manufacturers leak so much stuff from case manufacturers, Satisfy, dbrand, and Satisfy stuff got taken down. I see Nintendo Prime mentioning things about how Nintendo isn't happy. Like, do you have any clarity or clarification on that? On what, I mean, obviously Satisfy stuff got pulled down, but he had a kind of a, not necessarily a cryptic tweet, but something about the ninjas being on ready. Like, do you know what he was referencing by chance?
I think there's more leaks that are expected to come.
I see.
From what I've gathered. And it may or may not have to do with the Game Awards. After the Game Awards. So I think they're at the ready because of that as well. I also have like my own theory on this as far as possibly NDAs expiring, because this was supposed to already be out, right? If it was internally delayed, as I've always believed that this was supposed to be out this year, I think that the original NDAs that were signed in some cases are expired. So there is no legal measure really that you can do outside of Nintendo saying, hey, can you guys make sure that you don't show anything until we have? But there's nothing legally binding there.
Gotcha.
So it's like an honor system, right? Yeah. We know how that works in 2024. Not very good.
Not only just with the honor system, but it's free clicks at this point.
Yes.
Like, have I ever said the word dbrand before? No. You know,
Yeah,
I knew about Satisfy. You probably knew about
I
Satisfy,
did.
but
And I
uh,
I remember D-Brand from PlayStation because they were trying to release those PlayStation plates, colored
mm,
plates. They were doing it before Sony was releasing the accessory.
gotcha.
And
Okay.
yeah, my point in mentioning that is like they're no stranger to
Yeah.
this game either. Like they've been around. So for me, like I knew Satisfy already, like you did, and I'd seen a lot of comments on Twitter, people asking like, who even is this company? It's like, well, I mean, I know them.
Yeah.
They're legit. And when I saw D Brand, I was like, oh, like to me, D Brand is even more legit than Satisfy. They're both legit, right? But they're a bigger company, in my opinion, and they've been around longer than Satisfy. So I was like, oh shoot, D Brand's up in here now, and they're not a stranger to controversy at all.
Well, they got 1.2 million followers on X, I think, something like that. So like
It's a big
that's
deal.
that's not a small number of people finding stuff out, you know. So
Yeah.
well, I got Reddit up right now on the screen for those of you that are watching. And do keep in mind you can watch on YouTube or on Spotify. If you are listening on Spotify, the video should be playing as well. And we got some mock-ups. I think they're mock-ups. They look very real. I can say that much. And the dock is a little bit shorter than the OG dock, which then if I scroll a little bit, somebody did a mock-up of what could potentially be themes showing Animal Crossing characters running on a hill with the time and your battery percentage, the weather. They got Super Mario Brothers 3 Bowser just looks like I'm sorry, that's World floating around in his I think maybe his clown car, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
So um very very interesting. If this is the final design, I think it looks pretty sleek. And one thing you were pointing out right away is that the entire tablet itself is the same color as the Joy-Con, which is a white tablet and then a gray tablet. And the two colors they're showing are gray and white. And according to another leak I have here on Twitter, um, this is from Deck Wizard. They say that the third SKU is going to be a Mario Kart 9 SKU, which even Mario Kart 9 is something that people were like, well, is Mario Kart Tour considered 9? But then Mario Kart Live Circuit wasn't considered anything. So is it just a spinoff? But we got tour tracks in the game in Mario Kart 8. So, you know, there's a whole lot to unpack here. So I know you've got like 4 pages of notes. I'm going to let you kind of just roll for a bit here.
Yeah. So as far as the Deck Wizard post here, and I have that up as well. So yeah, 3 medals at launch: gray, white, and Mario Kart 9. And so yeah, the first thing I was wondering is like, okay, I've also read that one thing that'll be different with the Switch 2 is that the actual tablet will be a different color. So if you get a white Switch 2, like take for example the Switch OLED right now, it's white Joy-Cons, but that's it. That's the only thing. Like the console itself is not white. The dock is white, but the console itself, the tablet's not white. So in this case, everything is going to be white now, which is cool. Because, I think for me, the first thing I think of is, okay, what are they going to release in like 2-3 years? When are we getting the Fantastic series? That's the first thing, honestly, I think of as a 80s, 90s kid, right? We want everything to be a transparent color.
Sure.
So that would be fun. But what could Mario Kart 9 be? And, I think the first thing, right, is that, okay, is it going to be a red and blue Joy-Con? Possibly.
Yep.
But then, it would look exactly the same as the original Switch launch console. So Do they want to do that? Do they want it to look exactly the same? I don't know. Maybe not, right? And maybe all the Switches are just going to be one color. Maybe they're not going to do one Joy-Con this color, one Joy-Con that color. And you have pulled up on the screen here a Mario Kart carrying case. But the carrying case, what it shows, guys, is decals from Mario Kart. And the idea here is that maybe the Mario Kart 9 bundle could be all of these decals on the actual console itself. So it would be probably have a couple of decals, maybe one on each of the Joy-Cons, but I could see the back of the tablet having a handful of those, and then the dock itself having a bunch of Mario Kart decals. I could totally see that. What do you think?
You know, in my head, I lean towards maybe checkered flags on the Joy-Cons, like looking a little more like checkered flags.
Yeah.
And the dock and maybe the back of the Switch having Nintendo likes these designs. They like all this whole like pit crew, all the different mushroom piston engines. There's a thunder with the lightning bolt. Mario Kart since '92. I have a Mario Kart jacket. When you on the inside, it's covered in all of this. Like all this is just all of it, from the tires to like propeller Toad transport, like Bullet Bill speed trial, BBIA, Boomerang Bros International Airlines, the road service MAA. Like they've had a lot of fun with this. Banana Boy, tickets on sale now is what it says there. Like
this is reminiscent of the decals that go across the screen in Mario Kart when it's loading, right?
I think that's just a line of the characters that just continue to but even that, I could see that being across the bottom of the dock as well. Maybe it's not so wild, or you know what I mean, like not so busy. And it's something, because think back to the Smash dock and the Smash Switch, right? The Joy-Cons were so, there was a few what felt like missed opportunities there. They put just those lines from the Smash logo on the Joy-Con, but then on the grip, they could have had that finish, the circle and the lines as well. And then they didn't.
Yeah.
But then the dock itself was just the characters kind of stacked up on each other, so there's I don't know how wild they make it versus how but I know they love Mario Kart. And I have a whole theory on why I think Mario Kart could very much be a launch title as well. And I think it's because it is one, the obvious reason they've sold so many copies of 8 Deluxe, but two, they could continue drip feeding content into this game, and to start that right off the bat, and then every direct going forward, we get Mario Kart news, or at least one or two, like maybe twice a year, we get another drop for it, or maybe it goes Battle Pass or whatever the case may be. But I could see them pushing this game immediately. And I have seen, some, I'd have to do some research exactly, but I know the team that did Mario Kart has had other projects. It's not like they stopped 8 on the Wii U and then immediately started working on the next one. Like that's not the case. But that doesn't mean things haven't been happening in the background, and we know how other studios can get involved and all that kind of stuff. So just, I don't know. It gets me excited though, thinking that if that rumor is true, the question I have for you, which one are you getting? If this is true, if it's a Black Gray or Mario Kart, which one are you going with?
Yeah, Mario Kart.
Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, I wouldn't even have to think. It's a no-brainer for me. totally getting Mario Kart. You know, you and I grew up with this game,
Hmm.
playing the original on Super Nintendo. Like there's been no drop off, right? Like I've been there for every Mario Kart launch. I've had it on launch day on every console, every handheld. I remember playing Mario Kart Super Circuit in high school in my English class. English. It was the teacher was Miss Werner, and there was a 4 pod of us. It was me, my girlfriend Jill, and I had got her the transparent pink GBA,
Nice.
and then my buddy Mark, who I'm still friends with since grade school, and my friend Eddie, and that was Mark's best friend, and all big gamers. Even my girlfriend at the time, she just loved Mario Kart. She grew up on Super Nintendo Mario Kart, but it was the 4 of us, and we had our link cable,
Oh yeah.
and we're literally playing 4-player Mario Kart in class. Well, Miss Warner's up there trying to teach something. We didn't care. We just didn't. Like we want to play Mario Kart right now. We got a link cable in the house. Everyone's GBA is charged. Let's go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was just so much. That was so much fun. That was something I really enjoyed. But anyways, I've been around for all the Mario Karts. February 97 and 64. Couldn't wait for that to come out. So without a doubt, Mario Kart 9 would be the SKU for me. It's very exciting to think about. And so I got asked, though, that if we look at Deck Wizard's tweet here, Deck Wizard is saying that it's going to be a launch title. Like straight up launch. It is coming day one. That is a day one system SKU. This isn't down the road. It's not launch window, which again, launch window for Nintendo is 6 to 9 months.
Right.
So we're talking day one. 3 SKUs. You think? You think that's legit? That we're going to get 3 SKUs on day one, 3 choices for the consumer? And then how many, dude, how many do you make of each? Like,
Yeah.
what's your rate? What's your ratio?
Right. Because everybody, I mean, most people that are going to go for Mario Kart.
You think so?
I would assume. I mean, I can think of one person in particular that would go directly for the white one because he loves the white aesthetic that he has with his entertainment center. So I know the Mario Kart one would throw off his aesthetic, so it wouldn't that wouldn't fly for him. But yeah, I mean, and I would say they would lean more into the Mario Kart one. And I would be willing to bet that the Mario Kart one isn't a limited edition, but it is more of a Animal Crossing, you know, that SKU that lasted for a couple of years.
Yeah. So I could see the Mario Kart one being completely what I think the game's going to be, which is an evergreen title. Like you said, doing the drip feeds. To me, Mario Kart 9 has the potential to be like a live service Mario Kart, but without the live service stigma, because Nintendo, they don't do live service like other developers. I think the first thing I think of with live service is, oh my God, microtransactions everywhere. I don't want any part of this. It's not going to be like that. What I mean is this is a game that is just going to be continuously updated from beginning to end. And if you come out with Mario Kart at launch, think about how quickly you can build that install base. Because a lot of people jump into a Nintendo platform once Mario Kart is released. There's a lot of people who wait. Like that's the game they wait on, or they'll wait on Zelda. They'll wait on, Mario to an extent. Even though Mario is usually there right around launch, but a lot of people jump in like with Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, or Zelda. That's when they're like, okay, it's time. I'm going to buy it now. And, this is for all the people that don't buy it on day one. And again, I think we mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts I was on with you, is that with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe releasing 1 month after the Switch, I always believed the plan was to release Mario Kart 9 on Switch. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did so damn good
Yep.
that you can't do that. You can't hinder the sales of that because it's going. Like, it keeps going up. And so that's when they made that decision internally to say, hey, what if we do some DLC? Let's do that. Okay, they did some DLC. Still selling. What can we do to support this game? Well, what if we did like a booster pass and basically double the amount of tracks in the game? We're going to give them 48 new tracks for $25, which again, I've said this from the beginning, that is an absolute steal. When they first announced it, I was like, that is a steal. There was some weird discourse on the internet back then. They're like, oh, that's a ripoff. I saw a lot of people saying, like, what are you talking about? 48 new tracks? This is insane. For $25? Love it. And, especially because this is, to me, this is still the best Mario Kart ever. It doesn't get any better than this. Obviously, the hope is the next one will be better, but this just feels like peak Mario Kart, just like Smash Brothers is peak. These are like the ultimate versions. So very excited, of course, to see what's going to be next.
I agree. And the not only did the game continue selling, but they then used it to push more of their subscription service.
Oh yeah, that worked so
because
good.
if you are already an NSO member, then you get it for you get the DLC included with the expansion pack or whatever. So I think my camera just froze. Thank you, Apple, for the thumbs up. Gotta love that. But I'll be able to take care of that while we're here doing it live, So
so outside of that,
it's one of those things where it's like they had lightning in a bottle. So why not just keep it moving, keep the foot on the gas? And I mean, do I love every single track they released? No. Was I glad to see that some of them were new? Absolutely. Absolutely loved a couple of the new tracks. The destination tracks, give or take, but for the most part, it was a great addition. And I mean, there are literally people that ask me, how can you still play this? And it's like, I mean, if you see my videos, I'm laughing and having the time of my life with my community on a regular basis, and just cannot wait for more. I cannot wait for more. I can't wait where everyone is excited and everybody wants to play, and everybody, it's going to be, it's just going to be amazing. And I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah. And we're so close now.
With this tweet here, 3 models, gray, white, Mario Kart 9, January 25 reveal. I think that's kind of where we all been thinking is probably going to be the case. Mario Kart 9 launch title, magnetic Joy-Cons, but the big one here is Hall effect sticks.
Yeah, saw that.
Right, Hall effect sticks. Now, I want to add one other thing. Did you see the tweet from Mike Odyssey about the patent Nintendo did about sticks?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So Mike Odyssey's video regarding the joysticks.
Yeah. So Mike Odyssey put out a tweet. I don't know if he did a video as well, but it was a patent showcasing basically a technology within the sticks, kind of like force feedback, to where if you, let's say when you're holding to the right and Mario hits a wall, the stick would actually move back as you hit the wall, and then you can't press to the right anymore. And so that I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. What's funny is I've been playing this brick breaker on Mario Party Jamboree, trying to set the high score. And if a bomb hits Mario, he freezes. But I'm still pulling my stick or hitting my D-pad, and I'm like, it's so like I'm like, there's no indicator like that I'm not moving, and I'm just watching the red shell that I'm trying to hit, and that would be fantastic for those instances. Also, like, can you imagine some of the like the HD rumble with some of this like force feedback, even within games like Mario Kart, you know? But Hall effect sticks in and of themselves, I've been using a grip that has them. I've been working with a company called GameSir that all of their controllers have these, and to not have drift be an issue for them this generation will be so fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be huge. Yeah, I have a couple controllers with Hall effect joysticks, and they're great. They're great. Again, yeah, no drift. They work well. Uh, they're definitely an upgrade. They're a step up. But this idea about the force feedback joystick was extremely interesting for me. I just started thinking, and I'm sure you did too, like, how could this be implemented? Like, what are the different ways, right? And of course, yeah, Mario Kart came up. I thought about Wave Race. Imagine like hitting the waves and getting some of that feedback. I'm like, oh man,
Oh
there's just
yeah,
so
yeah.
many things they could do. And yeah, I think for me, like, if you look at it in a historical aspect of Nintendo and the innovations they've made, of course, they were the first ones to come out with Rumble. They came out with the Rumble pack. It was a pack in with Star Fox. And that was just revolutionary at the time. And as we go down the road, I look at the most recent controller innovation in gaming as a whole. And to me, the best controller is the DualSense. What they've implemented into that controller with the feedback, the DualSense feedback is amazing. It's so cool. I love it. And all I can think is like, I don't know if we've ever had a generation where Sony actually has the coolest controller with the most innovation. And so my thought immediately is like, man, like Nintendo is going to do something special. I know they're going to release something that impresses us and surprises us. And that patent would do it. If that patent pans out, like if it's in the actual hardware, for me that would do it. You know, I'd love for Nintendo to use the tech that's being used in the DualSense. If they don't, but they have this, that would be really special. What would really be cool is if they used it all. I don't know how expensive a controller that would be, but I feel like it would be worth it.
Well, and something that I have thought about a lot, especially because and I've had some videos pick up a little bit of traction just talking about the potential of DS games coming to Nintendo Switch Online. And like, how does Nintendo do that? Do they put out a grip that our phones could attach to, and then we have a second screen? Do they put out a controller like the PS4 controller had like a touchpad on the top, right? And how does the PS5 as well? I can't remember if that
Yeah.
and so, you know, something along, but I mean, is there even a possibility where there's a tiny touchpad with a stylus that we pop out and we could play DS games sitting in our living room, and just where we're touching on the controller is touching, you know, is working on the screen. Of course, you could use point and click, and there'd be other options. It wouldn't be, but I do wonder because, and the reason what triggered these thoughts is the microphone on the Switch 2. because you've got games like Nintendogs and Ace Attorney that are just, those are the first two that come to mind, where you're screaming objection or giving commands, and or Animal Crossing, where you blew in the microphone, you could blow bubbles and you could blow dandelion puffs and all that kind of stuff. Like, Nintendo is very healthy right now, and I think it gives them opportunity to get weird, but to do it in such a way that, like, I feel like they've learned so much from their past, right? They wouldn't force us into only using motion controls again like they did with the Wii, but to literally have these different innovations within games that were like, because it's crazy to say, but like in some ways the Switch went backwards a little bit and became more traditional just so that it could be handheld only, or not only, but like that was like its shtick, right? Like the Wii had motion controls, the Wii U had the gamepad, the Switch was interchangeable, but it really didn't have much to do with gameplay. And now they really have an opportunity to go, okay, well, how can we get back into like making games more interactive, but without forcing stuff into the games that people may not necessarily want. But like those little things in Animal Crossing where you could, like blow into a little pinwheel and it would spin, or do that, like, not necessary whatsoever. Like even in Mario Kart Tour, where you could wipe the screen if you got inked with your thumb and it would wipe the ink off, like,
yeah,
if there's a touchpad on the controller and you could wipe your thumb real quick while you're racing to clear the ink, that makes the blooper more fun. Like, it's kind of a useless item as is, but when you add that little element where I have to pull my controller off because make it cover the screen to where it's like it's super annoying, so people have to clear the screen with their finger, it just makes that kind of stuff more enjoyable, so I love that we could potentially see them like DS and Wiiify, if you will, as goofy as that might sound, some of the Switch too, but not to the extent that it's like, no, it's only that, but it would give the opportunity for more games to be back on this. Because my all of that to say, my biggest hope is that we could complete Nintendo libraries on this console.
Oh yeah.
That's where all of this thought leads to. I want every Zelda game on one console. I want, make NSO the Game Pass of Nintendo, and have the library be 200 to 300 games, and make sure every first party game is there.
It really felt like that's what they were going for during the Wii era with the virtual console. Like they got really close to releasing everything and then some. It seems like there's a lot of third parties too. Not as many today with the NSO service, of course, but kind of it's a different structure. Just like Game Pass is different now. But that would be really cool. As you were mentioning the DS games, something I thought of is that, okay, so when the NES hit the NSO, Nintendo sold the controllers on their website. Super Nintendo controllers, Sega controllers. The Nintendo 64 controller, which I love because that works on your PC too. So you want to use it on your PC for anything, you can. So I appreciate that. We know of those shipment orders, right? That point to possibly GameCube, to a GameCube controller being produced. That, as you mentioned, DS, and we talk about that USB port. What if instead of releasing a N64 controller for DS games, they release a DS screen, a clip-on screen, like you mentioned? But that is like their controller, right? Because that is how you play DS games. I don't need you to sell me a controller on the store to play a DS game. What I do need you to do is sell me a screen. Can you sell me a screen that is going to be, I bet you'd think it would be the same size as the aspect ratio. that the game is going to be played in. Because the DS game, right? Do you expect it to cover the whole screen?
Myself, I expect it to stay in 4:3 or whatever that the DS
I
was,
think 4:3, yeah.
and then have a smaller screen, or just like the Wii U. I don't know if you played DS titles on Wii U, but sometimes they threw an entire DS on the screen if that's what you wanted, and you'd see top and bottom screen on your big screen that way.
Yeah.
You could do a bigger top screen and a smaller bottom screen so that you could, get your main gameplay. Like if you're playing Mario Kart, your main gameplay was the bigger picture, and then the smaller picture was the map. And so that worked out that way. But then it just depends on the game. Like Wild World, I think you spent most of your time walking on the bottom screen, and the top screen was more like the sky and things like that. So it just kind of depend.
That would be a good opportunity, though. I mean, if you think about it, every console that's came out has had some sort of controller outside of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. Everything else has had a controller.
Even the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, like you can even buy Sega controllers, directly from Nintendo, which is just wild, especially if you grew up in the 90s to think you can buy Sega controllers directly from Nintendo now. But that would be really cool. The whole second screen thing is just interesting in itself because, I still think there could be a place for it.
There's one
as purely optional for people.
Correct, yes. But there's one game in particular that would benefit so greatly from it. And that would be Super Mario Maker 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because then once you're building with a stylus again, it was way more convenient. Way more convenient than trying to grab it with the controller and move things with the controller, like to just grab it with the stylus, place it, move it how you want. Like it just made designing and creating better. And to have that option again, I think would be a great because that's one of those games that I'm like, that fell off so fast. It felt like there was more to come.
Yeah.
And they just abandoned it. And I'm like, to me, it feels like they went into the development of the next game knowing that they were like, okay, we can make this way better if these things are here. And again, it's just a gut feeling, nothing more than that. But that was quite the tangent, I know, from the Switch 2 leaks we're talking about, but like it's just there's so much that gets my mind going thinking
Same
about
here.
Thinking about what all the possibilities are. And
I think about how many times I paused Zelda to look at the map. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Take a look at the map. Take a look at where I'm going. Where did I place the marker? Do I still need that marker? Did I already get here? Let me remove that because I'm trying to keep, my map clean, trying to be efficient. This is a very long game. I want to make sure that I spend my time wisely when I'm playing it. And I think about other games too. Other RPGs I played, these big open world games that I expect to be coming to Switch too. How nice it would be, though, to say, hey, your choice, purely optional as a gamer. We sell a second screen if you want it. And if you do, when you plug it in, the Switch will detect it. Just like when you plug in a second monitor on your computer, it's detected now. What would you like to do with this screen? Do you want it to mirror? Or do you want it to act as a second screen that you can put stuff up there? For example, a map. God, I would love to have a map on that screen.
right.
And I look at that just with RPGs in general. That would be really nice. Like, how many times do you play RPGs and you pause to look at your equipment and make sure everything's dialed in real quick? Like, I'm playing Metaphor Refantasio and it's like 60 hours in, loving it. But so many times I pause it and I got to look at stuff. Like, what are my open quests again? Basically, if you could take the pause menu that has all these different tabs and I can just have that on a second screen.
Right.
While I'm playing, that would really streamline things for me. Like,
Mhm.
really would. And I know I'm not the only one. I
Sure.
think people would love that. But you say, hey, it's purely optional to the developers. You don't really need to do anything. You know, it's the user who does it. I'm the one who chooses that. Hey, I'm going to put this on the top screen. That would be really cool. I don't know if that'll happen. I don't know what the odds are on that, but I would love it.
Yeah, and like I said, even if they did a controller that had a stylus and even just a pad that allowed for to play, because if you're playing a DS game handheld, you could just use your finger on the Switch screen, right? The touch is going to work right there. Or
Yeah.
maybe they sell a stylus. I think they did end up selling a stylus for with Mario Maker, for Mario
Yep.
Maker 2 that you could, but again, you were stuck to creating in handheld. You couldn't sit at your setup or whatever unless you wanted to create with a controller. And so, and then again, DS games and the few 3DS games that, like, I don't think they were nearly as the stylus wasn't nearly as necessary. It didn't seem like, anyway, with 3DS games. But Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks and Ninja Gaiden on the
Yeah.
on DS. There was a handful that were, even the brain training games, all that kind of stuff. It just gives them opportunity to bring all that stuff back. So I'm so curious on what they're going to do moving forward. And not only that, I think it shows the handheld audience that was massive, really, that it gives them even more reason to jump in.
Okay. I was just going to mention that. Perfect. Yeah. Because I thought about that, like the DS install base, right? Think about that, man. Like, hey, if you get Switch 2, like, you can play all the DS games. That's crazy. Because that whole DS install base, they're not all Switch 1 owners.
No.
Not at all. So that would be very interesting. And it would seem like a very good idea that it would be well worth the price of manufacturing a second screen and bringing DS games onto the platform.
Hope they do it. I hope they do hope they do something. I just want to see the full libraries of these, to be able to sit and play through everything. It would just make for fun streams. It would make just all around just be so great to have them there.
Absolutely.
I've been on the hunt for the Metroid pinball game recently. So, like, just to be able to play that. And there's just so many. So many. So a few other things, looking at the leak here: LCD screen, larger buttons, game carts, same as Switch 1, and a curved dock. Any of that stuff kind of jump out at you that you're like, if you go through the tweet here, people are like, I can't believe it's going to have an LCD. It should be 1080p. I'm like, the screen is so small. Like, even at 720, I don't think it's that, like.
Well, I still think the LCD screen is going to be 1080p.
And
LCD screens don't max out at 720. I saw those comments too. It's like, guys, we can do 1080 on an LCD. And not only that, but like I looked into this. I did some research on it the last few weeks. Is how LCD technology has improved since 2017 when Switch 1 came out. It's not like the tech died and they stopped doing any innovations whatsoever after that. Like, it's improved considerably.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah,
no question.
I'm expecting the screen to look just fine.
And again, they have somewhat of a roadmap of, hey, we can do the OLED model. Steam Deck did the exact same thing, right? Like,
we know we're gonna get an OLED down the road.
Yeah. So it's not surprising, and it just gives them opportunity to do, to have more sales long term, which that's good business. And as as fans of the company, we want them to continue with good business practices, because when they're healthy, we get more games, and that's, it's all good stuff. And what one of the things I think is very interesting with my own habits, I've been playing far more handheld now than I have really. I mean, I've played handheld often. I was probably like 25-75, give or
Yeah.
take, but I'm probably getting closer to 50-50 now.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I've been playing more at night before I go to bed. I've been like taking it to the, like, I even put my Switch Lite up next to my bed. That's where it's sitting right now. But I still end up taking my OLED with me, depending on what I'm playing. And so like it's one of those things that, like, they have all these stats, right? They know who's playing doctors. Remember when if it came out initially, speaking of like DS audience and things like that, they were like, it's kind of 50-50 people playing docked and handheld,
Yeah.
so it's just, I'm so glad they're not going like so far away from the last console. One of the conversations we see a lot is people saying like, why aren't they innovating? Why aren't they why aren't they changing why an LCD again, all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's got to be A, cost effective, B,
Yeah.
if it's not broke, why don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So they're, it makes total sense, and then again, we see the dock looking a bit different and stuff. Do you think we see these themes that this person on Reddit created? Do you think we see something along those lines? There's a reason that there's more screen being shown.
I think so. And we've talked about this on the podcast as well, about themes. And it's a total missed opportunity that we haven't had themes since the 3DS era. And so, yeah, I do expect themes to come back without a doubt. We got the memory for it now. We got more RAM. You can do it. Easy money. Fans will love it. And having a smaller dock will show it. So you can still see it in docked mode, which again, fans will love. I think it's great. The curve on the actual dock itself, one thing it does is it immediately differentiates it from the original dock, which is good. Because again, we don't want people to think it's the same. We can't have that. We don't want the Wii to Wii U kind of stuff. The curvature kind of reminds me just of the number 2. Just looking at the 2 on this actual picture, the way it curves is kind of how the dock curves like that.
Right.
And so, yeah, overall, I think that makes sense. And it also just kind of showcases that you got you got a bigger screen now. You got an 8-inch screen now. Switch 1 is a 6.2-inch screen. Is that right? And the OLED is the OLED 7 or is it 6 point?
No, it's 7. Yeah,
7, yeah.
It's 7.
I have my OLED in the other room, and I love it. One thing that the curved dock, obviously we can see with the Joy-Cons, and we've heard this, is that the Joy-Cons are more curved now. Like, it's very clear in that picture, especially the bottom part there. On the bottom part of the Joy-Con, there's a lot more curvature. And for me, when you mentioned playing handheld mode, when I'm just using the Joy-Cons, like, they really dig into my hand. And maybe it's because I play a lot, right? Like, I'll play for too many hours straight. But I will say that since I got my Nitro deck, I got a Nitro deck last year, I play in handheld a lot more because it's more comfortable. Nintendo knows this. Like, I'm not the only one. So it would make sense that these pictures are very accurate, and a lot of these renderings we've seen with the curved Joy-Cons are accurate because they do want you to play it more. they know you'll play your Switch more if it's more comfortable. Because some might say, well, I could just play it on the TV. But it's like, yeah, we want you to play it before you go to bed too, not just on the TV. And some people are like, you know what? Just don't play it in handheld. It's just not comfortable. But you make a more comfortable Switch. Now they're playing on the TV. Now they're playing before they go to the bed. They're hitting up that eShop a lot more often now because hopefully you fixed it and made it an enjoyable experience instead of making it the experience it is now.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you're like, the other game I've been playing, I didn't mention earlier, is Star Wars Hunters. And I ended up pulling the trigger on the battle pass because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a few games in each night before I pass out. And then they totally got me because the Sentinel character had a scout trooper outfit with his blaster looks like the front of a speeder bike. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna need that, So
yeah,
but I didn't just buy the crystals for that. I bought other characters that came with crystals so that I could basically double up along the, get without getting something for nothing. And guess where all of that took place? While I was in bed getting ready to fall asleep.
yeah. I enjoy getting in some gaming just in the same way that some people really like to read before they go to bed. For a
Right.
gamer, being able to get a little bit of game time in before you fall asleep is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it does help you get through games quicker, more often. If you're able to, poke some holes in the Swiss cheese, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, and comfort is a huge deal. Like I said, I've been using this GameSir controller. That's a big reason on the whole playing handheld thing because it feels like I'm holding an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
It's it's just fantastic, honestly. And so we're looking at these pictures though of this possible, these possible themes, right? I will say this. I will not put it past Nintendo for a second to not have this screen real estate potentially be used for something in their games. I don't know what so where my head is at, if you think about like the Apple with the MacBook Pros for a while, they put a touch bar where you could like on your keyboard there was, and it eventually went away. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if in some first party games, this didn't do something. Now there's a couple different ways my brain is going with this. One, maybe it's showing like, taking Mario 3 when you could like hit your menu and bring up what power-ups you had at the bottom.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like that little bar is shown. And obviously you'd have to have your Switch docked in such a way that you could even see it, right? Like,
yeah.
But the other thing that I think would be fun, and these characters that we're seeing on this picture made me think about it, is to gamify this to where it's like, maybe it's not tied to the game that we're playing, but maybe the theme has some kind of like, I got to feed the pet, or is there like how many times they jump or do something, and something like a leaderboard or something, like to gamify the docked mode. Even that just feels very Nintendo to me, where it's like I don't know exactly what it would look like. These ideas are literally popping into my brain as we're just sitting here looking at it. But like, I feel like that would be something, because like, think like Street Pass, and the stuff they did with DS, that kind of stuff, to where it was like, what could they do? Like, they aren't showing us this little bit of screen for no reason. If these are real, if this is exactly what the Switch 2 looks like, there's got to be something there. And I'm excited to see, because like somebody said, they could just kind of alarmify it or whatever, to where but like, maybe you could have Mario Kart betting, like, oh, I think Mario's gonna win, and they just have little like super sprint style races taking place,
Oh
and
yeah, that'd
so
be cool.
you just place your little bets or whatever, and call it good. I, maybe a Hanafuda car, like play some like memory games, or whatever the case may be, just while it's um maybe it's some kind of idle game that's just running in the background. You don't have to touch anything, but you can see what kind of score you got while you were charging, or
Yeah,
stuff like this,
there's a
kind
lot
of
of
kind of like
possibilities.
achievements, or whatever it is, but something that and again, make it community based. Like, how many, you know maybe, I think that's Daisy from Animal Crossing, I think. You know how many times has she sang, or how many flowers has she picked, or whatever the case may be, and then even make it community based. Like, how many,
Yeah,
in the month of November, how many flowers did get picked in Animal Crossing? It's just silly stuff. But it's just one more element of just like gamifying
that would be
everything.
cool. I we've thrown around the idea before on the podcast. Actually, Paul Gale mentioned it. He had this idea a while back that I thought sounded really cool. Which, again, we're looking at the dock right now. Remove the front of it. Just remove that whole front and just dock it. And now your screen, your theme plays all the time, like it's out on display.
Right.
And I like that idea a lot. But then I thought about like special edition switches.
Hmm.
It's like, well, if you don't have the front, how do you make the dock part of the special edition, right?
Right. 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 Yeah.
So this kind of is a halfway point, I think, to
Hmm.
that. You got some
Yeah.
of the screen showing. You have the theme showing, and the theme is built in a way that you can see it when it's docked. Now, there will be more of a theme when it's on your TV screen, but you can at least see it while it's docked. And again, in this mock up, it's got the weather, it's got your battery percentage, which is helpful because right now you'd have to lift it up out of the dock to see your battery percentage, right? When you dock it. Like I think you
It
gotta
shows you at the very top on the left hand side, in the same spot. You can just see it, but it's only for, like, I had to pull it out.
right, you have to wiggle it a little bit, like
Yes, it's not just there. It's not on. You
yeah,
have
like
to
I
you have to basically pull it out to engage to make it stop sleeping, if you will.
right, and then I gotta put it back in now.
Yeah.
And if my TV's on, depending on my TV settings, where if I have my settings to where it automatically detects when an HDMI is plugged in and turned on, now I'm watching a show on Netflix, and I all I want to do is see what the percentage is. So I lift it up. Okay, I still need to charge some more. Let's put it back in. And then suddenly what
Your
I'm watching on
Switch is on
Netflix goes back to
screen.
Switch. It's like, no, I
Yes.
just want to see what the battery percentage is. So to me, like that was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, this would be really great if it did show the battery percentage, because I'm sure I'm not the
Yeah.
only one who this has happened to, because it seems like a very common case, right? That would be solved.
Yeah. Well, I think what I love here is, like, you know, I don't know if I know you have an iPhone. You open the weather app, and, like, if it's raining outside, it's raining in the app, right?
Oh
And,
yeah, the
like,
dynamic kind of
yeah,
so cool.
and she's running around with her umbrella out, just singing, and they're showing like lightning and rain, but to even see Bowser getting rained on while he's just kind of floating around in his clown car, or whatever the case may be, like,
That would be really cool. That's a good idea.
and again, it's none of this stuff is necessity, right? None of it.
None,
It's more just like,
but it's
but I know
cool.
for me, anytime I have the opportunity to see, you know, more Nintendo stuff, more like just to see the characters interacting, doing their thing, like, it's just a little dopamine hit. That's all it boils down to. It's just a little dopamine hit for me.
It is. It is. Yeah, and it doesn't change anything, but it would be really cool. Like, that would be really cool, especially like living here in Arizona, where when it rains here, it's special. Everybody talks about it because it doesn't. It's very
Right.
rare. So when it does, it makes, we used to joke about it growing up. It's the cover story on the news if it's raining. Like, it's a huge deal here. So when it does, we really enjoy it. And it is cool to open up my iPhone and see, like, when we have a thunderstorm outside, to see it on the phone. And how cool it would be to see it on Switch and seeing whatever character is on my theme interacting to it as well. I think that'd be awesome. I like that idea a lot.
And the thing that it does is it just makes the Switch feel a little more modern. The Switch 2 feel more like modern tech, whereas the original Switch has always felt dated, right off the bat. Like, where it was just kind of like, this is your bare bones. Like, you're gonna play games on this. Don't expect much else. And again, that's not a complaint. Like, that's not a negative. But like, when you look at things like Alarmo, where it's like, Nintendo's out here thinking about how they can make sleeping and alarm clocks better. You know that their flagship console, it, like, like, I mean, they had to run lean on the after the Wii U. Like, they was like, they needed to pull out the bells and whistles. They needed to sell consoles. They needed to get to the place that they are now so that we can do the things that we're talking about now. And they did it.
I agree. And, the thing is too with the Switch and just its overall performance, you can't be using memory to do the stuff we're talking about right now, because you really got to squeeze everything out of the specs on the Switch One. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a very basic menu, like it is right now. It's as basic as could be. The eShop is a web page,
right?
Like, they offloaded as much as they could to make sure that developers have as much memory to play with as possible. Switch 2, that's not going to be a problem. Like, all these things we're talking about, I think, could very easily be done.
Yeah, no question. Well, this has been a blast, and I can't believe it's been an hour and almost 10 minutes already. Like, we start talking and it's like, 15 minutes have gone by. Oh, no. So hopefully it's been as enjoyable for you guys listening or watching. Thank you so much. Thunderstache, tell everybody where they can connect with you, please.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on YouTube at Thunderstache Gaming, and I do new and retro video game reviews. So I review the newest games. I definitely review some older games. I will revisit them, and it's a lot of fun. I've been gaming my whole life, so sometimes there's a game that I played 30 years ago that I really want to play today for some reason, and I'll play it and I'll review it, and it's a lot of fun. Every Wednesday, you find me, the Nintendo Byte podcast. I stream that live as well from my YouTube channel, and then everywhere else, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can find me at Thunderstache Gaming as well.
Perfect. All right. Well, make sure to go check them out, guys, and we will see you in the next one. Bye now.